Let's now take a closer look at the Fall-2 changes for this year. We're going to start with key dates. So Census Day for Fall-2 is always the first Wednesday in October. For the current reporting year, it falls on October 2nd, 2024. And the snapshots are available now. They started processing right after the Fall-1 deadline. And again, that zero certification fatal error milestone of February 7th is very important, that you clear your data discrepancy and certification errors by that date or close to that date. So that way you have enough time to review your reports and LEA approve your Fall-2 by February 28th, which is the final deadline, right? As you all know, Fall-2 doesn't have an amendment window. So whatever you approve by the 28th, that will become your final counts for Fall-2. And at any point, if there are changes to these dates, it's always reflected on the CalPATS calendar page, and we have provided a link here for you as well. So check that periodically, and I'm sure if there is a change, it will also be communicated through various flashes and whatnot. Okay, so as far as our code set changes, not too many. The first one is data element 9.27, which is CTE course section provider code field. It's a data element in the course section records. So this information is no longer used. And as a result, the field itself is a filler field now. And anytime, just make a note for yourself, you populate anything in this field moving forward, it will result in the file being rejected upon upload. Definitely check with your vendors to make sure that they have an update where this field is cleared out and nothing is populated in it in your course section records. And the reason for this field going away is that it was part of the original design of the Perkins data collection before, but the CTE office does not use this information for any specific purpose at the moment. So that's why it is no longer collected. In addition to that, there are some changes to the content area category. So previously, CTE course codes 7,000 to 8999 were populated as career technical education in the content area. So it was in this one general bucket of career technical education. They will now be categorized as more specific subject areas, for example, computer education or music. And this update was made to improve usability of this data for CDE's AMARD, or Analysis, Measurement, Accountability, Reporting Division reporting, as opposed to just using the generic CTE designation. Other courses in the future in the 9,000 level may also be recategorized so that they are in more accurate categories, but right now it's only for the 7,000, 8,000 series courses. The good news is that since content area is derived from the course group master valid code combinations, there's no action required on the part of LEAs. So you folks can review what content area courses have been mapped into in the valid code combinations document. And version 16.1 of the valid code combinations document will reflect these changes, and it will be published fairly soon. So there will be reports that will be impacted by this change, obviously, and those reports are all given to you on this slide. But basically, courses will now show up in the very specific content areas on these reports instead of the CTE content area that they previously showed up under. So this is the valid code combinations document, and I'm in the course group master combos here. And this content area category assignment name, this column is what is going to show those various content areas that the codes will be mapped to, right? Right now, all of them are showing career technical education. Another important change that you will notice is related to your staff assignment, employees on leave. So formerly, FTE, or full-time equivalency percentage, that were reported for teachers on leave was 0%, if you remember, right? But they were associated to courses. This being the case, FTE percentage and time couldn't be associated with courses with a teacher of record on leave. Sub-teachers could be reported in their place in the course section records, but substitutes don't have FTE associated with those courses. By allowed FTE for employees on leave, we are now allowing for time to be associated to course records, making FTE more accurate. So in light of this, teachers designated in CalPAS as on leave using non-classroom based support assignment code of 6018 are now able to have FTE reported for them, and their FTE must be populated with a FTE greater than 1% moving forward. LEAs should report the FTE these teachers typically receive when not on leave. And as a result of this change, the validation that previously triggered, which is SAS 0118. So previously, if you recall, for employees on leave, this validation checked that they had 0 FTE. Now it will check that those staff also have a FTE of 1% or greater than 1%. All right, so those were our code sets and some other changes. As far as system changes, beginning in this academic year, you are prevented from entering the effective end date in the staff demographic records, both in online maintenance and your batch files. So this field was always problematic in the past, if you recall, as it automatically generated a new SDEM record anytime you put the effective end date in there and caused the CERT 084 errors to trigger. So just to avoid all of that, in online maintenance, that field has been grayed out and it will ignore the field in the batch file so it doesn't create this error for you. On the extract side, we do have one new supporting report extract for report 4.3. This is for staff teaching assignments, detail report. So some larger LEAs, they could not pull up the supporting reports. Now the extract is available for them, so they can download the extract and review that offline. For the county authorizing reports, we had this change applied to other reports previously. Now they're applying it to the CA reports, where a couple of revision statuses are added to the revision status filter for these reports. And these are your certified SELPA approved and revised and certified LEA approved, not approved revisions. Okay. And for documentation, we already talked about the content area for CTE courses being recategorized, right? There are also some additional changes related to course group state name. All CTE arts, media, and entertainment pathway codes now will have relevant capstone or concentrator in the name of state course codes in the valid code combinations document. And let me bring that up. If we filter for CTE industry sector names for arts, media, and entertainment, right? And this is again the valid code combinations document, course group master combos. So when you do that, and then you look at the course group state names, you will notice capstone in parentheses next to certain codes. And also you will have concentrator for some of them as well. So this is just to help you understand which of these courses are concentrator and which are capstone courses. That brings us to help and resources, right? The user manual, all the changes that we're talking about today for these submissions obviously will be reflected in the user manual. Kyron on our side does a great job updating and keeping that website up to date for all of you folks. And he has also updated the Fall-2 roadmap. We've provided a link in here, and this is where you can go to find information related to Fall-2 submission, right? As far as dates, what data to submit, changes for this year, training information, references, the task list for Fall-2, everything can be obtained from this roadmap page. And so there's the link, bookmark it for yourself if you haven't already, and also share it with other folks, especially those that are new. They will find this page very, very helpful. Okay, so moving to validation changes, just like Fall 1, we did have a number of certification errors converted over to data discrepancy errors, and those are listed here. So these are your new CDDs, and they're replacing these Fall 2 certification errors. The content of those errors are still the same. Nothing has changed as far as aggregation logic, etc. It's just the error code number that has changed. And now you'll find these errors in the data discrepancy module as well, which is actually good news. You have visibility of these errors without having to wait for a new snapshot. Now, in addition to that, there are also a few new data discrepancies that are listed here. We'll look at them on the next slide. And we talked about the SAS 0118 earlier, right? Now requiring FTE percentage for your staff that are on leave. And then one data discrepancy error, which is 0638, was disabled, is being replaced by the 0636. So let's look at the details of the new data discrepancies. SAS 0695F2. SAS record does not have an SDEM record with effective dates for the same academic year. This is the new one that I was talking about earlier on. The system will now require you to upload and post a SDEM record every year, right? That's effective in the current academic year. And that's because they want to collect that years of service is becoming more important. So that's why really important for you folks to coordinate with your HR folks, make sure they update the years of service for all the staff before you extract and upload your SDEM records. SCSE 0641F2, no student course section data for primarily enrolled student, and also SCSE 0693F2, no student course section data for non-SWD student primarily enrolled at the district level. So these two new errors are as a result of retiring CERT 077. They have made these for the specific groups of students. So if you look at the error description here on the right side for 0641F2, this triggers when there's no student course section data submitted for a primary enrolled student, excluding school-age students 5 to 22 on IEPs parentally placed in private schools on settlement agreement that are enrolled at the district level in CalPAT. So it's a very specific subgroup of students that this error will trigger for versus the SCSE 0693F2, which will trigger when there's no student course section data submitted for a primary enrolled non-SWD student at the district level. And then we have a PSTS 0694F2. CTE PSTS student must have a previous SCTE record. So if you submit a PSTS education program participation type of 20, which is CTE, then the system will require you to also have a student CTE record for the student for any prior academic year. So that's one of those cross-file validations. The GERS 0010, this validation will trigger for the SAS, staff assignment, the course section, student course section, as well as PSTS file types. It checks that the school that's included in those files are not preschools, right? It's not expecting data to be submitted for preschools. So the next two slides are basically mappings of the old CERT errors to the new certification data discrepancies, right? So it will give you the new CDD numbers, the short error message, the severity level, as well as the error description, just so you have it in case you're more familiar with the old CERT numbers. And these are all the validation changes. Now, quickly, I want to throw in a question for you. Where can you go to get more information about these errors and the changes that we talked about for these errors? There are a few different places that you can go to get that information. So the error list document obviously will have the latest and greatest related to these changes, as well as the error code pages in the user manual, right? So anytime you see an error and you click on the error code in CalPads, it will take you to that error page. And that's where you can, get more information. And also on the error pages, if you have noticed, sometimes we embed videos related to that error that provides a lot more background and tips on how to resolve these errors. So definitely take advantage of that. So those are all of our changes.